Hey, Foundry family, it's Pastor Will again, tuning back in for a little bit of time of devotion and thinking together and sharing some information about what's going on at Foundry. I'm really glad to be with you today. I'm really grateful for the chance. You know, you can see again behind me here my home worshipful space, those spaces that we're encouraging you to create at home. As we continue finding ways to worship together in community. I want to go ahead and encourage you, if you've not had a chance to see the live video I shared a little bit ago, to go ahead and watch that at the conclusion of this time together. And just as a word, want to encourage you to think about creating a threshold space in your home, a space that you know that you're going to be setting aside each week or each day to pray, that's going to call you maybe out of yourself in the busyness and uncertainty and anxiety of these moments, and allow you to listen for God and what God might have for you that day, this day. This week, we're going to be encouraging you to think about finding something that represents an obstacle in your life, a stone, a brick, an object at home that really captures that idea for you. And I'm going to encourage you to place that on your altar as a way of recognizing and giving thanks for the grace that God gives you to survive and thrive despite the obstacles that we all encounter in life. This is the first day that I have been working from home fully. I, like all of our pastors and staff, are making some transitions too. And so we want to see what y'all are up to. We're hungry to know how God is at work in your life in this season when we can't be together, except for from a distance. So I want to invite you and encourage you to think about snapping some pictures of your home altars or what it is you're doing when we're worshiping together on Sunday. And then just to post that with the hashtag #ThisIsHowIFoundry. That's one of the ways that we're going to be sharing what we're up to in this season. And it's going to be a great way for us in community to feel connected to one another even from a distance. And I also want to encourage you as we continue to find ways to share out what it is that God is up to in our community and ways that you can be connected and involved, to go ahead and register for the Connections e-newsletter. You can do that on our webpage. All of our departments and all of our pastors are going to be sharing information in the newsletter weekly, so that you know kind of ways that you can connect and engage. So I'm mindful as we prepare to hear the word preached on Sunday from the Gospel of John, John 11, 1 through 45, the story of Lazarus' resurrection, that we're all in a season of grief. There's a great article that the Harvard Business Review put out recently that talked about the fact that so much of what we're feeling is grief. And as I've been thinking about that, what it is I'm grieving, the kind of feelings of loss and lack and change that I've experienced, I keep coming back to the characters of Mary and Martha in that story. Martha shows up in the story as Jesus is showing up following Lazarus' death. And they engage, she and Jesus, in this kind of very heady conversation, theological conversation about what it means for him to be the Messiah, what the resurrection's all about. And you can tell that Martha is doing what Martha does best. She's trying to rationalize her grief, to think her way through what it is she's feeling. And then you switch to the image of her sister, Mary. And Mary is much more demonstrative in her grief. What's so powerful in Martha's theological conversation with Jesus and Mary weeping with Jesus is the fact that Jesus, in that moment of their loss and grief, is meeting them exactly where they are. There's not an expectation that they're going to grieve a certain way or that they're not going to grieve at all. There's not any sense that Jesus is expecting something from them that they're not giving or doing. Jesus shows up with them and grieves right along with them where they are. With Martha, he engages in that conversation around trying to understand why it is Lazarus died. With Mary, he simply sits with her and weeps. And in both cases, we get this really beautiful image of the Son of God, meeting us in the midst of whatever it is we're feeling, with the promise that what it is we're feeling in the moment is okay. There's not an expectation that we're going to rationalize our way completely out of our grief. There's not an expectation that we're going to be the hero. There's simply an expectation that we're honest with ourselves about what we're feeling, and that we're willing to receive the love that God gives us in return. I'm really mindful right now, acutely, as I was leaving the sanctuary yesterday for the last time in a while, that we're all experiencing grief. Weddings are being postponed. Those of us who have lost loved ones are not only grieving their loss, but we're grieving the loss of the rituals and the patterns that we've used to hold our grief in the past. Baptisms are being postponed. Graduations are being deferred or mailed by UPS. And in every sense, we're keenly aware of loss. And I think what I hope you would know in this moment, and what I continue to rely on each and every day, is the fact that as we're feeling that grief and uncertainty, as we're feeling the anger that comes along with the injustice that's getting preached and spoken from pulpits and lecterns all around the country, as we're feeling the uncertainty of an economy that is shaky at best, as we're dealing with all those things, that what you are and what it is you're feeling is okay. And that God's love is big enough in these moments and wide enough in these moments to meet you exactly where you are and to sit with you in it. God does not leave or forsake or abandon us just because we're angry or because we have doubts or because we're scared. Instead, God does the exact opposite. God comes down, comes and sits down beside us. God wraps God's arms around us. God whispers words of love and peace, maybe through the voices of a friend or a loved one, maybe through the words of Scripture, to assure us in that moment that even though it's not okay right now, it's going to be okay. So my encouragement for you as we continue living into this season is just that you be unafraid to feel your feels. Know that your feels are okay. Know that God is with you and you're feeling them. And know that because of that, eventually, the morning will turn to dancing and the night will turn to light. And the fear that seems to be all around us will not overtake us. Friends, I love you. We love you at Foundry. I want to encourage you to continue reaching out and connecting to one another in all the ways that we have available to us so that we can remember that we are not alone in feeling those feels, and to continue relying on the love of God that meets us where we are and never leaves us. Blessings on this day and on the rest of your week. And bye for now.